Hey my friends, what is good? Derek here from Bomb Socks with more Bomb Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ, one bite at a time. So as we get deeper into Matthew chapter 2, there's a cool little principle that's found in the Come Follow Me for this week that I absolutely love. As a parent, I appreciate this concept so much. Parents can receive revelation to protect their families. That's found in Matthew chapter 2, verses 13 to 23. So as you're studying these verses, this principle is a great one. Joseph never could have done what he was asked to do, protect Jesus in his childhood, without heaven's help. That's a great principle to remember in your parenting. You cannot do this by yourself. You need heaven's help to do this. Like the wise men, he received a revelation that warned him of danger. As you read about Joseph's experience in Matthew 2, 13 to 23, think about physical and spiritual dangers that face us today. Ponder experiences when you have felt God's guidance in protecting you and your loved ones. Consider sharing these experiences with others. What can you do to receive such guidance in the future? Now, as I was going through these verses, again, great principle right here. One of the things I noticed in these verses, and I've mentioned this before as I've been, restudying the book of Matthew, it's how much Matthew loves the scriptures, how much Matthew refers to the Old Testament prophecies and how they are being fulfilled. And in this chapter, you see it in these verses 3 times. For example, in verse 13, it talks about how Joseph is warned in a dream to take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. And when he arose, Joseph automatically arose. Again, I love that in these early chapters we learn a little bit about the character of Joseph, like we talked about in Matthew chapter 1 and this week in Matthew 2. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt. And it says he was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. Now you get to verse number 16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceedingly wroth, sent forth, slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Now you go down to verse number 17. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, or Jeremiah, saying in Ramah, and this is a reference to Jeremiah chapter 31, which happens to be one of my favorite sections of the Old Testament. Now you look at this prophecy in Jeremiah 31. Now this is verses 15 to 17. It says, thus saith the Lord, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rahel, or Rachel, weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children because they were not. So you can see some context here with this. However, verses 16 and 17 of Jeremiah 31, which again, this is Matthew referring back to those, thus saith the Lord, refrain thy voice from weeping. I think this is great counsel to any parent out there with struggling children. Refrain thy voice from weeping, and thine eyes from tears, for thy work shall be rewarded. It is work to raise a child, saith the Lord. And they shall come again from the land of the enemy, which again, you're kind of seeing that happen with Joseph and Mary. And there is hope in thine end. Will you please remember that phrase? There is hope in thine end, saith the Lord, that thy children shall come again to their own border. So again, you've got Mary and Joseph coming back, but I think there's also some great symbolism there for you and I. I love how Matthew is referring to the scriptures, and the scriptures are bringing that revelation. You see it again down in verse 23. It talks about that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of by the prophets. And so you see the revelation that comes from referring to Old Testament prophecies. That was the scriptures that the people had in the New Testament, as they had the Old Testament. And the scriptures bring that revelation. So if you're looking for revelation to help protect and raise your families, look to the scriptures. There's a great quote from D. Todd Christofferson. Study the scriptures carefully, deliberately. Ponder and pray over them. Scriptures are revelation, and they will bring added revelation. I know for me personally, there's so many examples that have come to me by way of personal revelation for myself and for my family in the reading of the scriptures. I know my wife has done the same as well in reading her scriptures. In doing so, we receive that revelation to help protect and raise our families. So if I can give you one bit of counsel right here, I love how Matthew refers back to the Old Testament, and what happens is you see how Joseph is fulfilling these prophecies. As you and I take time to be able to study the scriptures in our lives, they can provide for us the revelation we need to be able to protect our families in this crazy world that we live in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing these messages. We love that you do that. And please check out our amazingly comfortable gospel themed socks at bombsocks.com. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Godspeed. Bye-bye.